Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be speaking about MicroStrategy. If you are a holder of MicroStrategy or Bitcoin, you are having an absolutely superb day today. Massive breakout, massive outperformance by MicroStrategy. I am holding a long position in MicroStrategy, as you could see on the screen right now. We are actually going to be reducing this position today as we talk about MicroStrategy and as I give you my thesis moving forward on the trade. I also own some Circle, which I'll show you on the screen in a little bit. But let's have a little bit of a recap of my coverage of Bitcoin and of MicroStrategy as we go back to the channel here. I believe that we've done a pretty good job in signaling
back to the channel.
the bottom of crypto. This was the video that I made 3 weeks ago on August 3rd of Bitcoin. During this time, Bitcoin was trading at around $63,000.
So in this video,
and the reason why I'm bringing this up, and here's MicroStrategy trading at around $93. And I think is a Circle part of the list just yet here. I'm trying to see. I possibly haven't added it. I'm just trying to see if I have it on the screen here. But we could always go back in the dates and find it. But I think I actually made a video on Circle. Yeah, right here. So
welcome back to the channel.
Circle was trading at $70 back then.
That is also
yeah, Circle was trading at $70. Today, Circle trades at $94. Pretty much made a move from over here. The reason why I show you those videos, though, is because if you go back in time to those videos, you will see that the bottom was not made by us drawing a support resistance line. It was not made by putting Fibonacci on the chart. It wasn't made by any technical analysis. It was strictly based on how Bitcoin and how MicroStrategy and how Circle was reacting to news. Around that time when I made that video, Bitcoin went through a bit of an issue of the hack of one of those hardware wallets, right? So if we go to Bitcoin hack wallet, let me just type in wallet. The cold card wallet, right? Pretty much there was an exploit with the hardware wallet, which led to a whole bunch of crypto being stolen. It was pretty bad. It was a bad situation, right? Because keeping your Bitcoin in cold storage in a wallet was seen as the safest thing you could ever do for your crypto, and that's what everyone has always been told. And here you go, there was a way to exploit a hardware wallet, and pretty much a lot of people lost crypto. And if we look on the date of when this first broke out, let me see if I could get an exact date here. So I have about August 4 seems to be when these articles were coming out. If we go to the chart here for Bitcoin, I think it was about, let me see. I think it was actually even on the 31st, there was like news coming out. Let me just pick exactly when we had that news coming out. Okay, here we go. I found it. So July 30th is when that news first broke out, right? Began to break out. It was pretty much just Friday. We could see that Bitcoin traded lower that day, right? And then over the weekend, more and more wallets were beginning to be hacked as people were finding out more seed phrases and so forth. But after that initial down candle, Bitcoin still consolidated. It did not go any lower, right? I think we made our video on Bitcoin and everything. What was it on the 3rd? This Monday, this reversal on Monday. This is when I made that video, right? So we hit a low of 63,460. 63,460, right? Let me just verify that. No, 62,216, which we basically never revisited after that day. This was when we were digesting that cold wallet hack. Every single day, more information was coming out. How did it happen? How many more are affected? Bitcoin was not going down. It wasn't. We had an initial reaction that was lower that Friday. This was the overnight session when first the hack happened, and Bitcoin had a bad reaction to it, right? It dropped 3% or so, but it stopped, okay? That signified to me that possibly the tape is turning bullish for Bitcoin. That, hey, here we have a piece of news that is undoubtedly bearish. Hardware wallet getting hacked. We saw Bitcoin being affected by that. It did drop as that news first was coming out, but it managed to absorb all of that supply hitting the market, all that fear. And I was reading all over different social media of people basically saying, hey, I've given up on the idea of holding Bitcoin. At best, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin, buy an ETF that is way safer. And that was the best case scenario. Other people just simply lost their trust in Bitcoin as a whole. That was the sentiment. And that was happening while Bitcoin was actually not trading any lower. It was holding super well. That was the reason I made that video. Now, MicroStrategy had an earnings failure. It wasn't a massive earnings failure, but it did have one, which is right here, okay? So earnings comes out. This is the pre-market, right? We've discussed this. Just want to make sure I'm not blocking anything. Let me move this on over. It ended up recovering, as you could see here, the bad earnings. Again, it went down off its earnings. It recovered. Now, it didn't go anywhere crazy fast. It kind of consolidated here, but at least it showed us, hey, poor earnings. Investors aren't too pleased with what they saw. The stock didn't go lower. It didn't go lower. Okay. What about Circle? Circle was in a different bucket here because Circle also had an earnings failure, but this one was super clean for us. So earnings comes out. You might see that initially it goes up. Okay, that's fine. But then the conference call happens. It absolutely sinks and dumps. Okay. The conference call matters more than the numbers themselves. Again, we're always going to put the call above the numbers themselves because it comes after the fact. The true move is lower. The stock went lower. It opened up lower. It ended up within a day pretty much taking over the highs, taking over the close before earnings. We got into this trade. When did I make this video here? On August 11. I'm not sure if that was the exact day I got into Circle or not. I think I got into Circle maybe slightly, pretty much over the weekend I made this video. Somewhere here, yeah, in the 70s. So I did get into the 70s. I missed the entrance a little bit, could have had a better price, but I got into it the 70s. So MicroStrategy had an earnings failure, Circle had an earnings failure, and then Bitcoin was not going down on negative news. That told me that the crypto space is starting to look better. It has a good tape behind it. And that's how we got into that trade. And the trade that I put on during that time was on MicroStrategy. Let's see, I'll bring it up right now. Now, I've already reduced this position a little bit, and I intend to reduce it again live on this video, actually. This is how it looks like right now. So I put on a back spread for MicroStrategy. Currently, price is all the way out here. I put it on when we were down here somewhere. So you could see our risk on the trade was about $2,200. Let me actually readjust this because I did sell some of it yesterday, but this is how it originally was set up, basically, right? So risk of about $2,800, and as you can see, till today would have paid off about $2,200 in gains, right? So what is that, like a 16-17x or so. Now I did sell some of it yesterday, so let's just reduce it to current position. Okay, this is the current position on it. So it says I'm up about 17,000. We can go to my brokerage here. Is that true? Yep, $17,800. So you can see the quantities here, right? So 16, I'm long 16 of the 105 calls. I'm short 8 of the 95 calls. I used to be short 10 of the 95 calls and long 20 of the 105 calls, but I exited some of them yesterday, and I'm going to show you those in the statements actually, so we can kind of get a better idea of what my overall P&L has been on this trade so far. But it's up $17,000 so far. And then on Circle, I went straight shares, which you could see 300 shares. I am long. I have reduced this, if not 2 or 3 times now, and I'm currently up $8,300 on the open position, but I've already closed a whole bunch, and I'm also going to go through that. So we just pretty much have the math as to how large of a position this has ballooned for us so far, this crypto trade. I'll put this off to the side for now. So that is Circle, and that is MicroStrategy. Now, there was, before we continue on to the P&Ls, something else I want to bring attention to, which is one of my latest videos on MicroStrategy. A couple days ago, which was this one right here, right? Don't get fooled into shorting MicroStrategy, right? MicroStrategy was trading at 124. Today we are trading at 138. So I basically said that, hey, listen, MicroStrategy has been lagging the markets, lagging Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's been going up. MicroStrategy has not really been going up that much more, right? Maybe double that of Bitcoin at best, okay? But people obviously expected more than just that because MicroStrategy dropped a lot more when Bitcoin was going down. And Bitcoin didn't seem to be bridging that gap. And no matter where I looked on social media, people were talking about the idea of shorting MicroStrategy because of its underperformance. Now, to me at that time, that seemed like too obvious of a trade. Everybody's talking about this, everybody sees this, everybody can see that MicroStrategy is struggling to really outperform Bitcoin. So if you want to take a bearish bet, why not short the asset that is lagging? Most of the time, that's the best move you can do. And I'm always a big proponent of that. The problem is when everybody's kind of noticing that and everybody seemingly does want to get short MicroStrategy for its underperformance, which is what I was seeing, and that is what I talked about in that video. If you go back to it, you'll see me speaking about that. And I kind of laid out the roadmap that if I were to get bearish on MicroStrategy, what would it look like? Well, the first step is for what's happening right now, which is outperformance by MicroStrategy. Today, undoubtedly, is a massive day of outperformance by MicroStrategy. It is up 12%. While if we use IBIT as an alternative to Bitcoin, since they're open the same hours, IBIT is up 2.6% on the day. So MicroStrategy is up 5 times more than Bitcoin is on the day. That is massive outperformance. Now, I want to see this happen for a few days. Today is a really good day for this because now you're going to have people that possibly missed the bottom of Bitcoin. They're going to look at what MicroStrategy did today, which is go up 12%. They're going to look at the chart here and see that MicroStrategy is still like a quarter of the way from its highs, even though it really doesn't matter. So much of its financials have changed since then. But they will see that, and how do you think they're going to be chasing this? They're not going to be chasing Bitcoin up here at 80,000. They're going to look at MicroStrategy, see that it's up 12% and say, hey, listen, instead of buying more Bitcoin, I'm going to buy MicroStrategy because that's the best way to make up for the fact that I missed the bottom, right? So now we got to lure the people in, right? That's the next step to us going short MicroStrategy. We have to let people get lured in and go long on it, which I think today is pretty much the first day during this run-up where we see this massive outperformance, you know? Because prior to that, you know, it wasn't anything too crazy. And even then in the whole picture, if you look at this, like MicroStrategy is still very much away from its highs in May, but IBIT is pretty much knocking at its door, right? So we're still super far away, which again, a lot of retail can see this. In their eyes, it's like, wow, that means our runway is that much longer. It doesn't mean that. It should never mean that. That's not how you should ever look at it. But that's the trap that a lot of retail investors will fall into when they look at charts such as this one. Once we get this outperformance, which I'm hoping for a couple days now, okay, which can maybe take MicroStrategy to 200, okay? I think it's possible. I think it's possible, you know, for retail to look at a day like today and actually run this up to 200 very, very quickly. Bitcoin does have to go up in that process, by the way. That level of divergence of Bitcoin going down and MicroStrategy going up, I highly doubt that would happen. But if we can get a couple, 4 or 5 really good days of MicroStrategy here, where it's outperforming Bitcoin by 3-4 times every single day, that gets us closer to where we want to be if we want to get short MicroStrategy. Because after that is done, what is our next signal? We're not going to try to jump the gun and short MicroStrategy while it's outperforming, okay? We're not trying to perfect and catch the very top. No reason to do that. The very last thing we want to wait for is that outperformance to come to an end, okay? Maybe even some underperformance to re-enter again. Once that underperformance comes, that is when we want to be short, okay? That's the game plan that I'm looking at in terms of reversing my stance on MicroStrategy. With that being said, I've got no clue where the top is, right? That's the game plan that I told you guys. That's what I believe can happen. But as traders, we have to respect the fact that we have no clue. We have no clue where the top or the bottom is going to be. So to mitigate for the fact that we have no clue, what I do, I reduce my positioning slowly. I've already sold a little bit of MicroStrategy. I actually promised you guys that I will show you the statements just so we get an overall picture of everything. Let's see. Go to statement viewer. Let's go to realize summary and then month to date and view statement. So I want to show everything's visible on the screen. Okay, so realized and unrealized. Okay, we're going to look at this and let me first bring up Circle. Okay. Realized for Circle is $4,700, right? That's how much has been realized for Circle. And then for MicroStrategy, realized is MSTR. Make sure I grab the right position because I had, I think, a butterfly spread at some point. We're looking at this right here, the September 18s. September 18s, and we're looking at this column here. Now, again, we are short the 95s, long the 105s, okay? So we're looking at the difference between these two legs here. And I will open up a calculator and we will run the math on that. I'm just gonna drop the coins from the end. Okay, so 2476, 2476. So we have realized, so this is pretty much what we have realized so far, right? And then our unrealized, we'll just put that at the bottom. We will open up the brokerage again. Okay, for Circle, unrealized is about 8,000. Now, obviously, yes, considering that Circle and MSTR are making new highs during this recent rally, it would have been better had I never liquidated any piece of this. But that's okay. Again, we never know where the top is going to be. The best that we can do is sell as we get up there, right? So that's Circle basically. This is the total P&L we've had on Circle so far. And then on MSTR, we are at 17,166. And so what does that put us at? It puts us like at 19, and then it was like 6. Was that like 42? That was just a guess. Hopefully it's around that number though. That's our current P&Ls, right? Unrealized and realized on this crypto trade, which actually puts it north of $30,000. And the reason why I show this again is because when it comes to earning failures, we are always going to have more losing trades than winning trades as we get stopped out of these trades. But when we do have a big winner, it looks like this. And big winners help tilt our P&L positive for the month, for the year, and so forth. That's why it's also super important to let your winners run. If I always had a thing in mind where it's like, hey, after just like me making 5 grand, I'm out of this trade completely. Let me just pocket that and move on to the next trade. I'll probably be negative on my strategy. But having outliers that yield a big profit is what tilts it in my favor, because I know that over 50% of my trades are going to be losses. Out of the remaining 50, out of the remaining bunch, some of them will be moderately profit, but then a few of those are going to have P&Ls that look like this and might continue to grow. Now, with all that being said, we are going to reduce this position because, as I said, I've got no clue what is going to happen next. So we are going to be selling. We're going to be selling 2 of these contracts. So we're still, ultimately, while selling 2 of these contracts, I'm still holding 60% of my original size, which is a lot. Okay, 60% of my original size, which is a lot. I'm going to select the mid price here, transmit. Might have to just move this around a little bit for the film here.
Order filled.
Okay. All right, so we got filled. We got filled at 24.4. They made me go down, but they still filled me up higher, which is good. Okay, so we just sold 2 more contracts, so we're out of that. Now we're just holding 6 contracts of MSTR. So just to show you this here, so what would happen from this point on, I've got to basically update this to 6 and 12, right? This is how my P&L chart looks like right now after updating, right? So still, we have a lot of exposure to the upside, right? So maybe our open P&L now is down to like 13,000, but if we rally to 200, I mean, this open P&L balloons to, I mean, look how far it balloons. It balloons all the way up to 50,000. So even if the remaining positions, if my thesis plays out, and if I do not sell any more along the way, my P&L can go up to 50K for MSTR. I do have all that leverage still on this position, okay? But I would likely be selling as we go up. If tomorrow MSTR is up another 10% or even 5%, I'm probably going to sell another contract pair, right? Now let's go to Circle. Circle, I've got 300 shares of it left. We are gonna sell, so we'll sell 70. I'll leave this at the mid, let them do the mid price and transmit, and pretty much waiting for it to fill here.
Order filled.
And there you go. We sold 70 of them at 94.18. And now that's what I have left of Circle. So I still have a lot of exposure, by the way, to Bitcoin, right? I still have my Circle position and I still have my MicroStrategy position, which is, at the end of the day, long a bunch of calls. Still have a lot of exposure there going on. It's going to be interesting to see how it trades, continues to trade. I think today was the beginning of that outperformance, and we might see subsequent days that look really good like this day. But again, I am still selling because I got to hedge the fact that I might be wrong here, but that's how I'm currently reading the tape. And ultimately, if Bitcoin obviously starts to struggle, I can't see it in any world that MicroStrategy is going to go up, right? We do see that Bitcoin is pretty much getting back to those May highs. A lot of investor traders are looking at this, obviously, and then selling into it, maybe expecting a double top here, so we might even have to hold at this level for a little bit of time. We're going to see. But that's my update on my positions of MicroStrategy and of Circle and my thoughts on Bitcoin. If you found this helpful, leave me a like, subscribe for more content such as this one. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Till next time.